Look, I don't like to say anything bad about the dead, but I'm about to. I remember I had to talk my dad out of chewing him out at the premiere that night because my dad was furious over what Mark had done during the Tom Rigney and Flambeaux video fiasco. Today's lesson: don't believe a deal until contracts are signed, and don't trust a deal until it's over. This was a very important lesson in my early career, and it needs to be included, even though one of the main people in this story is no longer alive. So, Story 1, April 2012. ATAEC Studios was hired to make a video for an event, or so we believed. Mark Paulus, who recognized that name from Instructions Not Included premiere, A Long Shot premiere, and Daisy, Destined to be a Search Dog, he brought in 3 of the ATAEC 5 for a meeting. And this meeting was about shooting a promotional video for Tom Rigney and Flambeaux, a musician who was playing in the area. And after talking it over, we agreed. I shot a large part of this promo, along with 2 of the other co-founders of ATAEC Studios, but instead of paying us, he offered us 2 things. 1, we were allowed to eat a meal from the kitchen at the event, which was good food, but in hindsight, feels like kitchen scraps. But the main reason we were doing this was to get our company name attached to the video as a company who could be hired to make content. Unfortunately, we weren't the only people he promised that to. It's my understanding that Mark Paulus had hired OTB Productions to do the graphic design work, and promised him that his company name would appear in the video. But Mark never informed us that there would be a graphic designer or that any other film company names would appear in the promo. On top of that, because the camera used to shoot the video was a Horror Motion Pictures camera, we were horror students and the head of OTB Productions was working for the Horror Motion Picture Conservatory at that time. It's my understanding that they were also promised it would be a Horror Motion Pictures production with their company name in the video as well. I think you can see where this is going. Once we found out that this had been promised to 3 different people, we were shocked, angry, and raised complaints. And at the end of the day, all 3 company names were shown in the video. But it left us with a bad first impression of being hired to make content. I've heard that a lot of people had very good experiences working with Mark Paulus, and I legitimately wish we could have said the same. But unfortunately, he lied to us about the details of the gig, what our credit would be in that project. He paid us in food, and we were only 17 years old. Because we didn't find out about this 3-name situation until we'd already done all the work, it left us distrusting potential clients in the future. Now, he didn't get in trouble for this because not only were we minors who didn't have the ability or money to stand up for ourselves legally, we didn't have a contract signed. Just his promise to do what he said he'd do, which was our biggest mistake. Unfortunately, we weren't yet old enough to sign for ourselves, so when he invited us in for that meeting, there was no way we could have walked out of that room with a signed contract. However, hiring someone under false pretenses is a crime he committed. If you promise someone anything in exchange for work, you have to deliver on that when the work is completed. It doesn't matter if it's $500, $5,000, or just what's commonly called credit and copy. You can end up in small claims court or worse if you refuse to pay employees the offer they accepted when hired. In conclusion, make sure contracts are signed and that you get copies of them. Follow up to make sure that the details of the deal are completed, and if you're an employer, stand by your word and please don't be an asshole. Fun fact 1. Actually, you know what? I'm not done. Looking back on it, successful people hiring minors and feeding them leftovers instead of paying them real money is downright cruel. Like, my family had been on food stamps for an entire year of high school. My friends and I were months from college and, potentially student loan debt. Only one of us could afford a car, and we were trying to save up for our first feature film on top of that. We were about as strapped for cash as possible at that point. As I've learned, some people begin to compromise their morals when money is involved, and it was cruel of him to take advantage of us like that. But anyway, that's my lesson and story for the day. No fun facts this time, I guess, but I tried to include info for friends, family, employees, employers, contractors, independent production companies, and more. So hopefully you learned something along the way and can avoid the mistakes that I've made.